Okay, guys, this is Travis with Beyond Bipolar Blog. Today we're going to talk about the nofap journey.
A very embarrassing journey.
It's pretty embarrassing. I don't even think I'm going to load this on Facebook, but Kyle thinks we should talk about it. You know, I've only lasted like maybe a week.
You got to explain what nofap is.
But anyways, Kyle wants me to explain. It's just basically not masturbating.
And not looking at porn.
But I think it's just not masturbating in general. And according to some people, like Think and Grow Rich, there's like a transmutation if you hold in sexual energy and don't do it so often where you just feel tired all the time and not motivated. So
in the end, pornography, masturbation can be addicting, kind of like a drug. And the thing is, there's arguments saying that it messes with the synapses and the neurotransmitters in your brain, because it basically dulls the pleasure senses, and if you do it too much, it causes lethargy, it causes unhealthy view of women or men and sexual partners, and it could damage relationships because basically they'd rather just look at porn and rather than have sex. And I guess I'll be honest, I think with my first one, when I did have a kind of a porn addiction, I probably still do. The reality is I do it every day after I work out, and I find it very difficult. With me, I don't think it interferes with my lifestyle as much because, one, we're single people. I do think physical, sexual desires can be a need because in the end, that's how humans procreate. And when you're single, especially my brother for 5 years, what can you do aside from just look at porn and just jack off? Just to get rid of those feelings.
Sometimes I do it 2 or 3 times a day. But
do you think
I did nofap for 2 days one time, and I thought it would prevent the SI. Boy, was I wrong, because
I actually been trying it for like 3 days.
For those 2 days, I was suicidal and the worst I ever been. So I wouldn't say nofap helps with suicidal ideations.
But it saves time when you're not jacking off. And I don't know if it's true where if you nofap you'll attract a girlfriend. I kind of doubt that. You might have a more healthier desire.
Might be more passionate.
But I do agree, when you're in a relationship, probably porn is not as healthy. Some people can use it as a what do you call it, not like a substitute, but just an additional, which is okay. But if you're using it for an entire substitute, that is not good, because in a relationship with most people, the physical aspects are important. If you're not having sex, there's usually, and problems in the bedroom, I'd say there's probably something wrong with the relationship.
And I might as well just bring up women. There's probably some women that watches this and think that porn's degrading and don't ever want to do it. But you have to realize some medication in general actually weakens your sexual urges. So I don't know if that's good for you or not. Some people have a hard time being aroused. So that can also prevent like enjoyment in life. So sex in general, hopefully if you are actually very conscious and doing healthy decisions, it's not bad. But fapping or no fapping, I guess I'm not really into it. I just don't care. I never thought about no fapping, though.
So you see it as a smoking addiction and a meth addiction, or there's just worse addictions out there?
There's just worse addictions out there. Yeah, maybe I have a fapping addiction or a masturbation addiction or whatever you want to call it.
I think actually most men do. Maybe even some women. I remember Billie Eilish was talking about that porn really ruined her brain. There's other people that believe that too. I don't know if I really believe all the science, although there are some people that really claim it. I think it's more about morality, and sometimes people are in the porn business. It's a very dirty business, and people end up being used and abused, but it does make a lot of money. And right now a lot of people are doing OnlyFans. You even have a friend that's doing OnlyFans. What's your opinion of it?
I don't know. It's really up to them. If they can make good money, I don't see anything wrong with it.
You would do it.
I would do it, and I tried, and it failed.
Maybe you could describe that.
Nah, I mean, in general, this is about no fapping, but
anyway, I tried no fapping. There's some days I actually felt better, but I actually been doing it for the past 3 days, and I end up still sleeping a long time. So I don't know if that's really true. I know, like Mike Tyson, a lot of fighters stopped the don't fap before fighting. I don't know about him too, but that I do agree. I think it probably does damage relationships, because when you sex won't feel as good because you'd rather just do it quickly and get it done with over with.
That's actually why I do fapping, because it's just faster than being intimate with someone. And plus, I'm not in a relationship, so generally that's what I go to.
Feel free to tell us what you think about nofap. For us, it's just blah. Yeah, it's more about morality rather than science.
You see these videos that get millions of views on nofapping, and they consider themselves the best they've ever been. And for me, never tried it long enough, never felt disciplined to try it. So I tried it, just thought it would stop the SI, the depression, but that's not true. I actually feel like it alleviated the depression and maybe helped me sleep better. And I guess it is helpful in dealing with cancer.
There's double science too. Yeah, what Travis just mentioned, it reduces stress. I mean, anyone that have sex, it's recommended. Although if you're religious and all that, but now things are more open. You got to be really conscious. I think it's more about balance. I think it's okay to look at a few things, and as long as it's not hurting anybody, I guess who cares? But there are other worse addictions out there. Maybe you can't compare apples to oranges. Like meth will really royally.
I'm pretty sure religious people would think this is offensive, but
I think it's important because there's might be two to tango. I don't know when you're bipolar. Do you felt like you had to masturbate all the time or no?
I can tell you, masturbation is probably then with a relationship, because you'd be overly sexual and you could do very impulsive decisions. What if you get someone pregnant just because you're hypersexual?
That's true too.
So it prevents like unwanted children that you may not want. So
I think realistically it's about balance. There's too much of a good thing can be bad, and too much of a bad thing is bad. So in the end, I'm not buying it. My brother's not buying it. I think it's ideally something to go for. At the same time, you got to have a level of realism. One, if you've been single for so long, and one, it just takes a lot of work.
We are sexual creatures, so generally.
And why are we sexual creatures? I mean, that's what
to procreate.
And that's the whole science about it. Why we have sex. I know there's a lot of issues that why people get into that really bad shit like pedophilia and that really rape and all that crap and prostitution, but
underage sex.
Biologically, it kind of sometimes makes sense because, I mean, when you think about animals, it's like really no different. They just do it just to procreate, and that's why the body naturally releases pleasure chemicals to pretty much like motivate people to spread their seed, so to speak. And because of that, it has to be under control, but within reason. And I don't really agree with all that abusive, like horrible, like bad porn. That's the stuff I don't watch.
Yeah,
I don't watch, and we don't watch underage porn. I'm sure there's men
and many women that think that watching porn is degrading because it makes women feel like they're objects. But
most women I dated actually were okay with it, which is kind of ironic. I don't know about you. Your last one, the one from Korea. Oh, you didn't
she'd probably be offended.
Oh,
but
for most of them, they didn't care.
I mean, generally, if you're gonna fap and versus having sex with someone, maybe you're just not attracted to them anymore. So you kind of have to build that intimacy over the sex urges. And if your partner's fine with it, then hey. And if she's not, then why are you with that person? Or
I think it's more about
why is he with her? And if it's doing with Christian law or your beliefs, and do whatever you need to do that you think is best for you. I have no opinion on what you should and shouldn't do, but for me, I don't think I should be judged on for my own opinion. And if I feel like fapping is not really that bad of a problem, or for me it just doesn't make any sense to withhold urges or whatever, yeah, maybe I have an addiction.
So do you think there's a difference between looking at porn and masturbating, or just masturbating in general? Maybe perhaps masturbating without porn is actually
not that
okay
fun,
and healthy.
I don't know. It's not that fun. I probably would never do it.
You haven't done that before?
Very rarely. I'd have to have some type of image or video to maybe get off, but still, like, I mean, if this is terms of a mental health video,
sex
can be good for you. It could alleviate depression. Maybe I have an addiction, and maybe there's people that way overdo it. But generally speaking, I feel like there isn't much of a difference between fapping and no-fapping. For some people, like Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says that
He does?
there's a transmutation if you withhold doing it all the time.
I didn't know that.
That turns into sexual urges, turns into like creative
I
energy.
honestly think it's a placebo effect. People think they're doing a good thing and blah blah blah, but one, I think the really problem with fapping is, one, it does reduce the pleasure system when you're actually having sex with someone, so it doesn't feel as good. So maybe when you're in a relationship, kind of reduce it, but if you're single, I guess, I mean, what else is there? People are sexual creatures, and you sometimes, especially males, I just sometimes feel like they need a release. Even females sometimes. I think females are a little bit better at it because in the end, their goal is not to mate with many people as men, because they have to be really careful, because one, they could get pregnant. So of course they have to be a lot more careful of who they are having sex with, versus men, they can just like spread their seed with whatever. So whether you want to argue the science, the religious aspect, the moral aspect, the spiritual aspect, I think it's just about moderation. I think deep down all of us have some sort of things that we're not too proud of. But saying the black and white of this and that, I don't know if this is realistic at all. Just like there's good people and there's bad people, I don't know, maybe there's just some people that have bad traits, but they actually can be good people too. So I do think doing substance abuse is actually worse if you want to compare it. And I know that might piss people off saying, no, that's not true. It's still the same addiction, but
Gambling.
I disagree.
Impulse control with alcohol or drugs, and these issues, these are cutting. These can be very, very damaging, but I feel like sex is on a different level. Sex addictions are on a different level.
And now what makes this hard is because porn's easily accessible. That's the problem, and why to stop. Back in the day, you had to wait like hours on end for videos to download, and now you don't, which is another issue. I think it's not exactly the person looking at porn at fault as well. It's also how the industry is run, and it targets vulnerable young, mainly woman people, and which isn't good. So in the end, be careful what you watch. Stay away from the kiddie shit. It's not good for you. Obviously, you don't want to go to jail like Jared. But if you just got to get off, just get off, but do it in a safe environment, alone preferably. And if you're in a relationship, moderate it. Maybe you could use it as watch it together, which is okay. But if you're using that, if you rather prefer that over than the partner with your relationship, then boy, then I think you got problems. But anyway, don't believe the hype. Believe in balance. And I think that's it. We'll end it at that, guys.
All right, please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And guys, please comment if you have any other questions about this, or your own comments, or your own commentary, or whatever, your own research. For me, I just don't think too much of it. It's not like something that I put on the table that I need to talk about all the time.
We find this important, though, because in the end, we want to be honest with you. So keep up the honesty, send us your responses, and take care.
All right, take care. Have a good one. Bye.